Hello everyone, it's Kelly here from Spiritual Awakening Signs, and today we're doing a question and answer session. So we're going to be taking some time to answer some pre-submitted questions that we've received from you guys who are on our email list. If you're not, definitely get on there. I'll be sharing a resource later where you can join and you'll get all the updates about the new things that we're doing. So we've got some pre-submitted questions, but I'm also opening the forum for anyone who's watching live to ask any questions that are on your mind about spirituality, about your spiritual awakening journey, even maybe some concerns that you've got. Is this a physical symptom? Is it an awakening symptom? There's all sorts of different challenges that we face on the awakening pathway, and I am 100% here to help. So this is the space and time where you can come on in, settle down, and just you can kind of listen to what's going on for other people, but absolutely let me know what's going on for you. And I'm more than happy to help. So before we get started, I'm going to talk just briefly about a little free resource that we've got that I would recommend anybody going through Awakening to get this free resource. It is something that I created that I believe everybody should have as just the foundations of the spiritual awakening process. And this is our free 5-day course that takes you through a process where you're going to understand the awakening experience, how it happens in your energy, what happens to your body, and what you can do to start reducing some of those really difficult symptoms, the things like your emotions being up and down, struggling to get grounded, feeling really spacey, having really intense experiences that you can't quite handle or control, having your empathy be too sensitive. We start to reduce all that down in the 5-day process. It's really fun. It really makes a big difference. And I hope you'll check it out. It's at spiritualawakeningsigns.com. Right there at the very top of the page, you'll see a little banner, or pretty much any page on the website you can get it, because I do think it's important. Okay, so let's dive right in. So I've got some of the questions from our email list subscribers. So let's start working through those, and if anybody else has anything else they want to ask or check out, just let me know. Okay, so the first one we have is from Julie. Oh, this is a deep one. Why am I here? What is my purpose, and how can I find it? Well, what I will tell you, Julie, and anyone else who has naturally had that question come up, that is the classic spiritual awakening question. That's the question we always ask ourselves. We start to question, why am I here? What is my part in the world? What is, my contribution? What is my purpose? What is the meaning of life? These are all the questions we start to ask. So what I will tell you is, you've got a tick in the checklist of definitely going through the spiritual awakening process because you're asking that question. But as for your purpose and how you can find it, it's one of these things that it will be certainly something that is a natural sort of skill set, interest, passion. It will be something that's already within you. It might be something that you found an interest in as a child. It might be a more sort of spiritual thing that you've discovered. Quite often in spiritual awakening, we come to be interested in healing, intuitive senses, psychic ability, mediumship, card readings. We start kind of going into different areas of healing and well-being, and it's very interesting what comes up for us. So you won't be watching live, I don't think, Julie, but if you watch on the replay, let us know in the comments what are some things that really interest you. What do you feel drawn to do? Because what I will say is, I've found from working with one-to-one clients that your purpose is something that you already know deep down. Usually people come in and say, I don't know what my purpose is, and I say, yes you do. And all it takes is a few questions for us to uncover, and they're like, yeah, well, I kind of thought it might be that, but I wasn't sure. We always know somewhere deep down. Now, in regards to finding your purpose, it depends, because it may be a timing thing. So for example, for me, I knew from probably about, I think maybe I was around 19 or 20, I knew I was meant to be a healer. I knew that healing was it, and that's what I was supposed to do. But I didn't know which avenue that was going to take. I had no idea how to be a healer. I didn't seem to possess any natural healing abilities. It was something that I had to give my system a framework. I went through a few different frameworks, learned a few different techniques and therapies and energy healings, and then found the thing that made it all click. And it was really emotional, because it was like, I always say it was like a bell going off, like something resonating so deeply. It was like, I just knew, I was like, I've found the thing I was looking for. This is it. So sometimes it's the divine timing thing. And for me, it had to be a certain point in life, and you'll find that for yourself too, Julie. It has to be a certain point when all the right pieces come together. And waiting for that can be quite frustrating. But what I can tell you is you can start to harness that by leaning into your spiritual awakening journey, doing as much healing as possible, because healing helps you to clear the things that are the blocks to your purpose, and start looking at how you feel about your purpose. What are your fears? What are your anxieties about that? Because they will give you clues as to what's getting in the way. And when you resolve what's getting in the way, you'll uncover what it actually is. So I hope that's helpful to you. Okay, this one doesn't have a name. Oh, interesting. I've been attacked many times since my journey began. Why do I get targeted by evil forces? So tired of this. Okay, right, let's break this down. So, first thing is, I've been attacked many times since my journey began. Well, what I can tell you is that many of us go through these experiences, and I assume you said, I noticed you mentioned evil forces, so I'm assuming this is a sort of spiritual, energetic attack. And if it isn't, if it's anything different, let me know in the comments when you're watching back the replay. But I'm going to go with that because that's what I'm sensing from this. So, on the spiritual journey, what you tend to find is the more that we move into the light, a little bit of darkness comes up, because we're in a land of duality. We're in a plane where there's a sort of balance to the light and dark. Sometimes you try to bring the light up and it's like, oh, dark kind of wobbles a little bit. It takes a while before we really push through that duality mindset and get into, things can just be good and it can be okay and it can be light. But as you're on that journey, what you will find is sometimes it can feel like you're trying to live your purpose and you're trying to be who you are as a spiritual soul. And unfortunately, it feels like almost like something is trying to stop you. Now, if you're going through that, I want you to know, and if anyone is listening to this and you resonate, please tell us, because I know this is so much more common than the average person might think. You might feel alone in this. It's not an alone thing. We all go through a little bit of this when we're coming through awakening. And what I will tell you is what my grandmother, who was a medium, always said: the living will do you more harm than the dead. And it really is a very true saying. So just bear that in mind when you're getting understandably nervous and feeling uncomfortable about that negative energy being around you. But what I will tell you is I went through that myself. And actually, you can see it in some of my early videos. There's a lot of sound disturbances, visual distortions. There's a lot of stops and starts. The internet used to cut out all the time. If you guys have been a long time follower, this is actually our 9th anniversary. This is kind of around about the time when I started Spiritual Awakening Signs. If you're a long time follower, you will remember some of these videos that I used to do where there were always disturbances. People used to say, "What's that sound? What's that thing behind you?" And I'd be doing the video, I'd be like, "Don't see a thing." And in fact, there's one of my articles on the blog. If you look for how to vanquish negative forces, if you look for that, you will find the blog post, and it's got all the pictures of the attacks that I used to go through. I used to wake up and I would be scratched. I would have marks on me. There was strange sort of smells in our home. There was a smell of smoking all the time, and it was really strange because neither me nor my partner smoked or ever had smoked. It was a really odd thing. We noticed there were kind of shadows, there were strange things going on, there were noises, there were sights and sounds. It goes into it all in the blog post, but you can actually see some of the experiences that I had, which were really frightening at that point. But what I will say is that's an extreme version, so don't worry. And also, I came through it. I broke through it. It's old energies, it's old stuff leaving. If you just keep your face to the light, if you just keep moving forward, what you'll find is all that stuff falls behind. The only time that this would be something you really need to investigate a bit more deeply would be if you feel that this is something that's not leaving your life. It's just something, I see that you say, why do I always get targeted by evil forces? So that would suggest to me that what you might really want to do is bigger than just clearing. Because of course we can use sage, we can use incense, we can use Tibetan singing bowls. Make sure you get in the corners, hit them in the corners, let the sound clear the energy. But what you're probably dealing with is something that has followed you from past life. It's nothing to be afraid of. It'll probably be an old connection that the karma's not balanced on, and it can create this sort of feeling targeted experience. So take a look at that, delve into that, and look at clearing that out. If you need help with it, contact me for a session, and we'll have a little look into it and get it all cleared out for you. But that's usually the most likely cause of it. And actually, when you start digging into it, it's never anything to be worried about. It's kind of like an old argument from a past life. It just follows you over a little bit. Okay, so nothing to worry about. Okay, we've got a question from John. Do I have guides? I don't think I do because I never see them. I've asked them to show themselves to me, but they ignore me. Right. So the first thing I'll tell you is everybody has guides. Everybody has a team, no matter who you are, no matter if you're religious or not religious, what belief systems you hold, makes no difference. Everybody has a spiritual team. And these guides are there for us, and they all kind of generally cover a different aspect of the spirit world, our connection. They protect us, they guide us, they lead us, they maybe sometimes encourage us if we need a little bit of that too. So you do have guides. I know that you're mentioning that you don't think you do because you haven't seen them. Well, what I'm going to tell you is it's actually quite rare to see your guides. It depends on how your psychic ability and your intuition manifest. For some of us, it's sound. We hear things. And sometimes that's not even a physical thing. It can be sort of hearing it in your mind and discovering communication in that respect. It could be that you are more likely to see things, which is rarer, but some people get a visual sense. They can, get a vision with their third eye. They can see something. Everybody's a little bit different. So just because you've not seen them doesn't mean that they're not there. It just means that that's probably not the way that you communicate in that respect. And you've said, I've asked them to show themselves to me, but they ignore me. I guarantee you, John, they are not ignoring you. Your guides care about you very much, care very much about your well-being. However, there are certain times where it's either not appropriate for them to reveal themselves, or it may not be that that is the right avenue, or it just might not be the right timing. That might be something that's on the cards, but it's just not shown up yet. So you need to find the right way for you to communicate with them. So for example, everybody's a little bit different. My partner tends to communicate with guides through number symbols. We've all seen them: 1111, 333, 444. He's done it so long, he's got a really good sense of what those numbers mean to him, and he gets clear communication. That's how he communicates with his guides, and that's what works for him. Whereas for me, it's more of a feeling thing. I tune in and I just get a sense. I'm like, it feels like this, and that's how I know. Everybody's different. Maybe for some people it's a more visual thing. You notice that you're seeing signs, you're looking at things are popping out. There's text popping out of things that you're reading or things that you're looking at. It might be that you're listening to music or you're listening to the radio, you're hearing something, and all of a sudden there's a little piece of something, a little conversation in a TV show, something that stands out to you and gives you that message. Everybody's different, so your guides certainly will not be ignoring you, but they will be communicating with you in a way, and they'll keep doing it until you catch up. So start to look at all the different ways that you could perceive your guides, and you'll probably notice there's one key way that they sort of lean on to communicate with you more often than not. For some people it's symbols, feathers and butterflies and nice things that resonate. Some people trust in, the red robin, all these different things. It just depends on your own journey. What I will tell you is when I was going through my experience with my guides, who many of you will have connected with through the energy healing meditations, I used to get quite upset myself because I used to say, why won't you let me see you? Why won't you tell me who you are? Can you tell me your name? And initially what they actually said was, we're not going to give you a name, because to give you a name would be to glamorize us, would be to give us ego, would be to separate us, and that's not what we are. And they also said it would distract you. And I was really upset at the time. I was really deeply upset. I was like, but why? That doesn't make sense to me. Now it does, because I would have got completely absorbed in who they are, what they are. I was looking for personality and something that's more like a force and energy. And they very clearly let me know that that wasn't quite the way. They did it in a comforting way, but they did let me know. So your guides are there. Anyone else who's feeling that way, your guides are there with you. you hear and see them or not, just start to look for some of the other ways they might be communicating with you. Find what means something to you. Okay, next one from L, letter L, just in case you're watching the replay. I keep attracting narcissistic relationships in my life. I keep thinking they're so different, then they change on me and are just the same. How to stop the cycle? This is a really good question. What I can tell you is, going through the spiritual awakening process, narcissistic connections and relationships are very, very common, because what you're usually dealing with is the empath narcissist cycle, that sort of dynamic. It's ultimately victim perpetrator. And again, comes back to that energy of duality, where we're working things out in the physical plane through these two polar opposites all the time. And we're trying to break free of that in spiritual awakening, and we can. But what you tend to find first is, if we've got some stuff to work through, if, for example, we need to learn how to find our voice, if we need to learn how to stand up for ourselves, if we need to learn how to feel secure, even when other people are messing with us, even when other people are purposely trying to aggravate us or to create a response, when people are trying to be controlling and manipulative, it's about really finding that centeredness that you see in, maybe you've seen it in some spiritual gurus, maybe you've heard about it in some of the different saints and the ascended masters that have come before us, where they're almost unshakable. You know, they may have reactions, but there's a centeredness to it. They don't get caught up in the drama. They remain detached. And some of that is what this is about. Now, I will say, I can understand that this is incredibly painful. It would be a very difficult thing to go through. And especially when it's a cycle that you feel you're getting caught in, and you keep thinking you get somebody different and they turn out just the same. Now, when that happens, what that tells me is that we have a template in place. What that means is that you've probably, and you can let us know in the comments if you feel comfortable, you've probably experienced narcissism in your life at an earlier age. Usually this shows up because you've had it through childhood. Could have been a parent or someone close to you, but it's probably showed up in your childhood. And if not, it may also be, or exclusively be, in your past lives. You might have had a lot of connections with those sort of narcissistic energies, ultimately just a negative energy. And your soul is trying to fix it. And the soul fixes it by saying, I'll keep drawing those people in, and I'll keep drawing that same person in, and we'll play it out again. That didn't work out that time. Right, draw someone else in. Let's see if I can get it right this time. No, it didn't work this time. The human body and the psyche becomes incredibly drained and exhausted and pained by that experience. But the soul will keep going like a computer program until you work it out. The good news is there's a shortcut. You don't have to keep going through that. And what I would say to you is, the most important thing you can do is start to investigate where that comes from and heal the roots of that. If you can heal the wounds that were created by what I'm going to call the original narcissist that you've experienced, whoever that is, and whatever those experiences were, what you're going to find is that you change the template. Right now, your system is attracting what is familiar, even though that's very, very painful. Unfortunately, that's what your system has been wired for so far. That's what it knows, that's what it understands. What you want to do is clean all of that out of your system so that you can attract new, fresh energies, so that you can attract people who don't have those traits, and you can become free of it. It's very, very important. So that's definitely how to stop the cycle. Healing is the only way to really interrupt that cycle, because what you'll find, and this is very common with people who have been through any form of sort of narcissistic abuse, is that you automatically, inexplicably seem to make, you make like a beeline for the one person in the room that is that narcissistic energy, and they won't appear that way to you at all. And then what you do is you find out after a while, you're like, oh, and there's some of the same traits. Oh no, that's just like whoever it was. Might be a previous relationship, but it's most likely something earlier in life. So best way to do it is to clear it by healing the original wounds, and then you'll find that when you next are drawn to someone or attracted to someone, you won't be attracted to the template. You'll be attracted to the genuine attributes of that person. You'll be able to choose someone much healthier. Okay, I hope that helps. Oh, this is an interesting one. Pamela. I've been awakening for a long time and used to drink wine ceremoniously, and it was good. Now I get sick when I drink alcohol. Is it forbidden? That's a great question. Right, straight off the bat, alcohol absolutely is not forbidden when you're going through spiritual awakening, but it is something that you're going to want to either use in moderation or certainly cut down on. And I'm going to explain a bit about this. So, what you tend to find is the further you go along the awakening pathway, alcohol just isn't tolerated by the body in quite the same way. And I've experienced this myself, I've experienced this with other people. I don't drink alcohol whatsoever now at all. Sometimes I use a little bit of something in my cooking, but I don't actually have any alcohol in it. And the reason why is because the system doesn't tolerate it in the same way. It's a low vibration. And what you tend to find, and this is what I found years and years and years ago, which is why I don't drink alcohol anymore, is that it opens your auric field. It takes down your spiritual boundaries. So when you consume alcohol, what you're going to find is your energy system is open to the world. And that is a concern because when you're a sensitive sort of energy being, you're going to find that you are more likely to pick up, say, entities, waywards, negative spirits, the negative energy of everyone else. And this is what I found out the hard way. If you are spending time around people who are drinking alcohol and you're drinking some alcohol, even if it's just a little bit, it doesn't need to be a lot. It's just once that's in there, kind of opens your energy up. And what you'll find is everyone else is shaking off the stress of the week or whatever has been going on. They'll be having a great time. They're shedding all the stress energy. And guess what? You're absorbing it all because there are no boundaries energetically in place. So alcohol isn't forbidden, but you're probably going to want to acknowledge that things have changed. And I know that's not always fun. It depends how you feel about it. I was certainly happy to make the change because I knew intuitively it wasn't right for my energy. But everybody's a little bit different. You might find that you're okay with consuming just a little bit of it, but I would say if you really want to do the right thing for your energy and you want to look after and protect it, the best thing is actually to avoid it. And if you're using it in cooking like I do, where I still like to have maybe some wine and some nice rich sauces or something tasty that you have, and make sure that all the alcohol is burnt off so that you're not consuming any in a nice meal and then finding that your energy system is wide open because it's quite threatening for your energy system. Okay, I can see that Deborah has joined us live. Hi Deborah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions at all that are spiritual in nature, let me know below and I'm here to help. Okay, let's see. This next one, this pre-submitted question doesn't have a name. How to tell if a spirit is evil? It's a good question. So when you're dealing with spirits, I refer back to you the mantra of my grandmother, which was wonderful, and she certainly knew because she was a medium. She had dealt with all sorts of different energies. She said, the living will do you more harm than the dead. So hold on to that. That's the first thing to know if ever you're dealing with something that feels a little bit kind of spooky, a little bit worrying. So that's the first thing to know. But the second thing to know is if you're dealing with any sort of energy, the one technique that you can use, that I have used for years and it really works, is if you ask them outright, if you are assertive with any energy, whether it's something that you feel in the room, you just think, I feel like there's something in here, don't feel comfortable, or whether it's something you've seen as a visual in your third eye, you're getting a vision of it, whatever you're experiencing in whatever way, the one thing that you can do is you can ask a question. You're going to say, are you of the light? Ask them directly, are you of the light? And what you're going to do is ask them 3 times. Sometimes when you ask them once, you'll find that these negative spirits, they kind of don't respond. They hold off a little bit, just like somebody negative might if they had negative intentions. You know, I'm not going to budge. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to see if I can hold on a little bit longer and keep this going. And you ask them a second time, are you of the light? And you'll usually find by the second time, if they're not of the light, you can either sense some discomfort or they leave. By the third time, if that is an energy that is not of the light, they have to leave. They cannot sustain. It's like when you find somebody is doing something negative or underhand and you bring it out into the light. They want to hide because they want to hide what they're doing. If you are assertive with that energy, are you of the light? Are you of the light? Are you of the light? You'll find that usually if it's a negative or evil spirit, disappear. It'll just completely leave because it can't hide anymore. Okay, that's the power that we've got, is truth and illumination, and that's what we use in our spirituality to protect ourselves. Okay, let's see. Stacey says, I've developed frequent headaches throughout my spiritual process, but don't know if it's my pineal gland opening or if it's a health problem. Okay, headaches are quite common when you're going through spiritual awakening. So is kind of skeletal discomfort along the spine, the neck, the shoulders, even the back sometimes as well. So that is quite common, not an unusual thing. Difficult to tell sometimes at first if it's a spiritual symptom or a physical symptom because it's manifesting physically. My best advice would always be go and get it checked by a medical health professional. Just go and get it checked. They'll probably tell you that the answers are inconclusive, the test results are inconclusive, because that's what happens with spiritual things. Usually you find they can't really find it in the 3D level, but it's always sensible to get the 3D vehicle checked first. You always look after the 3D vehicle because it's got to house your soul and your spirit for a long time, okay? Then after that, if you get no answer, you can tell you're probably looking at sort of a third eye issue, especially you're saying, is it a pineal gland opening? So you're probably feeling it up around here. You can usually feel headaches that are chakra related in and around the forehead or right at the top of the head, okay? What you'll find is if it is pineal gland related, you're probably going to find that it can be moved with energy healing. So, for example, you could use EFT tapping. You might have seen that if you search on our YouTube channel and you type in EFT, as if it's all one word, or tapping, you'll find videos where I guide you through it. It's less than a 5-minute process and it will probably clear the energy out quite quickly. And you might interestingly have more shift results with that than you will with anything else because you're dealing with it on the level that it exists. It's an energetic concern and you want to unblock the energy. If you're feeling that, it could be that your pineal gland's opening, but ultimately what it's doing is it's breaking through the blocks there. So you want to kind of help it along to break through those blocks and make it a little bit easier. Okay, again, another question with no name. I've tried everything to manifest my twin flame. I know it's him, but he keeps running, and it's so painful being apart from him, but he won't wake up. How can I get union with my twin when he won't talk to me? That's a really interesting question. Okay. The difficulty you have is when you're on the twin flame process is you have to kind of be in a space where both parties are ready. And usually one wakes up faster than the other. And when that happens, it's incredibly painful because you're waiting for the other person to catch up ultimately. And it's all divine timing. And there are things they might need to go through. And there are probably things that you need to go through in the meantime. But it is very, very difficult. If you want to get into union with your twin flame and he won't talk to you, the best thing to do is not to keep pushing in the physical, okay? Because what's probably happened is your twin has been activated into running, and they're running for a reason. It's usually activating childhood wounds. It's usually stuff that's really, really deep, and that's what makes them run. They're not running from you, they're running from themselves. They've got stuff to still work through, and this is all part of the process. We just get impatient with it, and believe me, I completely understand the impatience because I went through this too, okay? It's all just part of the process. The best thing you can do, especially if you're in a situation where your twin flame won't talk to you, if you can't find a way to connect, is to work on yourself, is to work on healing your own issues. Some people say you work on their issues. Leave him to work on his stuff, okay? Because when we get into the energy of trying to force it to happen, it actually just holds it back. And I know this because I've been through these experiences myself. The more that you push, it's like it puts a block on it. And I remember what happened with me and my twin flame Jay is that when I finally decided, like, I'm just going to let this thing go. I'm tired of holding on. I'm tired of pushing. Like, I'm just going to let it all go. It's like it happened immediately. It happened within a few weeks. It was incredible. And it was a real natural place that I came to. It was like, do you know, I'm not going to keep putting the energy into forcing something to make it happen energetically. It just was meant to be will be. And it's a really hard thing to do. It's a spiritual sort of milestone that you get to where it just kind of clicks into place. But when you let go like that, usually your twin turns up really, really quickly. So do your own healing, do your own clearing work as much as you can, and then be in the energy of just trusting that it will arrive. and knowing that you can let go because it will arrive, it will happen. It's just that, you know, your soul has let you know it's going to happen in this lifetime, otherwise you both wouldn't be going through this. It's letting you know it's going to happen, but it's just time that's the issue. And you need to look after yourself and try and make the most of your life as much as you can and do good things and be as happy as you can be until your twin finally comes to join you. And I'm sending wonderful blessings for that because I know how tough it is, but you're on the right path and it's all getting there. All right. Okay, let's see. Fiona, I want to do what you do and live my purpose and talk to people. Wonderful. I know it's inside me, but I'm really scared and nervous and I start to panic. How can this be my purpose if I panic so much? Did I get my purpose wrong? Okay. Absolutely not. You've not got your purpose wrong. The fact that you are pulled towards this type of work, and it's great that you know what that is, because not everyone does. You know what it is, you've got a feeling that you know what it is, and you know it's inside you, but you've got all this panic. So what that tells me is you're probably experiencing past life pain that is connected to aligning with your purpose. So what I mean by that is you've probably been an intuitive or a speaker or a psychic or a healer or something of that sort before, and it's gone wrong. Now, when I say gone wrong, I've worked with people for so many years doing this work. It usually ends in death. It usually ends in, you know, something went so wrong, townspeople turned against you, or people didn't believe in your healing, or people thought it was witchcraft, or people thought it was something negative, thought you were something negative. It's usually where there's a lot of emotion in it, people turn against you, and it just doesn't work out. And what happens is we bring the sort of traumatic memories of that into this lifetime. And when you start to go down the same path again, your soul starts to put the brakes on. It's like, whoa, 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 that didn't go well last time. Don't do that. So what you find is you try to do the thing that is your natural instinct that's inside you, just like you said, but you find that you're terribly panicked, you're worried, you're scared. Maybe you start sweating. It can be a real fight or flight response because that's where it comes from. It comes from a fight or flight experience. And it needs a bit of healing. So what you'll find is if you can address the past life issues where that happened, find out what happened, start to clear that, you'll find you move past this panic and anxiety really quite quickly. It's a natural part of the journey. We're all a bit nervous when we step into that. And we all have doubts and nerves and things, but this is where you really need to look for the past life connections so that you're clearing that out. And it depends on how you want to work with that. Some people do things like past life regression. The only problem I would say with that is you don't get the energy healing part of it. You need to really have the energy healing to not only release the emotion, but release the blocks that it's created. Because quite often what you find is that it actually shuts your psychic senses down, it shuts your healing abilities down in an attempt to protect itself. So you need to use something that's going to open that up, and I would say EFT tapping is a great way to do that. Matrix re-imprinting is a great way of doing that as well, similar. It's kind of EFT tapping offshoot. Even if you've never had results from tapping before, this can make a big difference. So definitely have a look at that. And as I always say, if you need help with that, check the website and let me know and I'll help you out. We'll have a session and work it out. I can see Misty has joined us. Hi Misty. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the video. And if you have any questions, please let me know because I'm here to help. Okay, let's see. So we're almost coming to the end. So I'll leave a few minutes just in case anyone watching live wants to contribute a question. And I will help. I can see Jax has joined us as well. Thanks for joining us and watching. Let's see. So we've got Anya. She says, my health is breaking down. Oh. And it got worse and worse since awakening. I'm in bed most days and can't work or go out anymore and still no answers from doctors. It feels like a punishment for a past life. Oh, how can I heal from this? Okay. Right, Anya, what I will tell you is this is relatively common for spiritual awakening, but it manifests differently for different people. So a lot of people will go through health problems, ailments, illnesses, but usually people go through it in small pieces. So let's say, for example, you had a past life where you had a really serious experience with, let's say it was TB, because that was a big thing that was going around in the past. let's say it was TB, you might find that in this lifetime you take a really bad chest infection. And actually, that's the body's way of working it all out, cleansing it all out, and releasing that energy. Okay, so these things do come up in different ways. It might be a recurrent cough, it could manifest in lots of different ways. So that's generally what can happen. For some of us, it's a lot more debilitating. Now, what I can tell you is what you're going through. I don't know if you know my story of awakening and how I came to do what I'm doing, but my journey ultimately started out with being completely debilitated, being bedridden, using a wheelchair. I couldn't stand up for more than a minute or two without collapsing, fainting all the time. And there was a physical component, but it was so much of it was an energetic component. I hadn't realised it till much later. So you said no answers from doctors. That's exactly what happened to me. It's happened to a lot of my clients too. When it keeps coming back that the tests are inconclusive and they can't really find any physical reason for what's going on, it's usually a big sign that this is more spiritual in nature than you realise. So what I will tell you is it's not a punishment. There's no punishment for past life coming up. It will be you trying to work through some stuff from your past lives, or it could be that the Kundalini energies of awakening are just a bit too much for the body. In which case, my first protocol for you, Anya, would be grounding as much as possible. If you can ground your energies, and I really strongly advise you, don't use crystals, don't use essential oils, don't use anything that's going to stimulate your energy in any way, even if it says grounding on the label. You can take a look at our website. If you get the free 5-day course I was talking about, this will guide you through the whole thing. And I would say let's start there. If you use the techniques that I list, which don't involve crystals, energy work, any energy activation at all, if you use those techniques first and you find there's an improvement, we know it's the result of grounding has made the difference. That tells us it's a Kundalini effect that's happening, and it gives us a bit more understanding of what we can do to calm it down. If that doesn't make a difference, you probably know that you want to continue down the 3D route, trying to find more answers in that particular area. It's probably still old energies moving, regardless of which avenue that takes, because you're going through spiritual awakening. But you really want to get into a place where you're moving it forward, and if it's presenting itself in the 3D, you can heal it by addressing it in the 3D. That's okay, that will definitely help. It's just a very long, challenging journey, and I can understand completely how tough that is for you. What I will tell you in healing is that I had been like that for about 3 years of my life. I was really, really unwell, and kind of really the experience that you're going through was my own experience. Kept going to doctors, couldn't get any answers. And eventually I came across EFT tapping. So that's the technique where you're tapping on acupressure points around the body, and you're just tapping on them with your fingertips, but it kind of dissolves the blocks of all the different stuff that's in your system. It's particularly effective for people going through spiritual awakening because our energies are constantly blocking and it causes symptoms. So if you could start using that, you'll probably find that your energy shifts. So that would be the thing I would want to check out. Does it shift? Does it make a difference? In which case, it's just a matter of keeping going, because that's what I did, and I was better in about 4 months. I was back to doing aerobics and all these spin fit and all these other things. I couldn't believe it. I had been bedridden for 3 years. So it's just a matter of moving the energy. So get started with the free 5-day course and let's check how that's doing. If you need any guidance or you want any further clarification on what I've said, just send me an email and we'll see what we can do to help you, because I can completely relate and know how tough it is, but it's a part of awakening. It's not forever. It really isn't. Okay. Okay, last one, and if anybody else has any questions, let me know. I've got the last question, then we're going to be finishing up for today. Okay, Alexia, I think there's something in my house. Everyone says there is, and I have a bad feeling. Okay, so if you think there's something in your house, like I mentioned earlier, the first thing you're going to want to do, and I'm assuming it's spiritual in nature because you said there's a bad feeling, but the first thing you're going to want to do is start clearing the energy out. So you want to open the windows, maybe even open the doors if that's possible. Let as much air move through the building and the space as possible. You want to get incense as a basic, if that's all you can do, but sage would be ideal. And you want to sage the room. So you're going to find that you go through the rooms. Very important, people miss this, is you want to blow the smoke from the sage right up into the top corners. Every corner, make sure you see the smoke hitting the corners, because that's where it tends to gather and hide. You want to let that be in your home and kind of let the windows and the air just blow it right through. And that will cleanse the home and kind of reset it. Then you want to see if it's still there. If it's still there, what you probably find is that there's either an attachment to the building or the place where you live, or an attachment to you. In spiritual awakening, it's usually an attachment to us, because we've got old past life connections, we've got old things, we're very light spirits, and quite often energies attached to us. They're usually just looking for help, but it can be challenging, it can be difficult. So that would be the first thing I would say, is get the place cleared out first. If it's still there, you're going to want to do an investigation where you need some past life healing or some current life healing if it's come from earlier, but it's usually past life. And it's really important. What we're trying to do is, just like two people that have had an argument at some point or have had an unhealthy dynamic, we just sort it out. We sort out the dynamics between the two. We clear all the karma. We release any negative feeling, resentment, guilt, all these mixed up things. And we release all the pain in the heart. And then what you find is the two souls are like, yep, I'm okay with you, you're okay with me, let's go our separate ways. And you move on with your life, and you find that it doesn't reoccur. It's when you're not clearing it where it comes from, which is usually past life, that it tends to keep showing up, and it becomes this thing that feels like, I think someone said earlier, it feels like it's following you, it feels like it's targeting you, because it's trying to look to be resolved. So hopefully that'll help. You can also use, we have an energy healing meditation, the entity clearing. If you have a look in our school, that's really effective, and it'll move any sort of entities, waywards, negative spirits, anything like that out of your home. And it would be good to listen to that on the day that you're doing the saging and having the windows open, because it'll make a big difference. And what you can also do, which I think is just a little bit extra, but this is what I tend to do, is make up a bottle with still water and put a few drops of some essential oil in it. Tea tree oil is brilliant. It will cut through anything energetic, and if you spray that around your home, you'll find what you're doing is not just clearing it out, but you're kind of putting some positivity in. You're injecting it with something of a higher vibration than the essential oil. Ultimately, any essential oil will work, so use anything that you like. But I always felt, when this used to be a problem for me, which thankfully isn't anymore, you will move through it, but I always found that it felt like it just like cut through the energy and really deep cleansed it. It was a nice feeling, and it makes you feel more secure and grounded as well afterwards, so I hope that helps. Okay, everyone, I hope that you have enjoyed the question and answer session. If you have any questions when you're watching the replay, let me know. And that's also, if you've had a question answered and you want a little bit more clarification, just say so in the comments, and I'll be keeping an eye on them for everyone. And of course, check out our free resource. So that's our free 5-day course. It is the information that I think anyone on spiritual awakening journey needs, no matter whether you're a beginner or you've been on the pathway for a long time. Go and check that out. Follow the steps for 5 days and notice how different you feel. It's really going to transform your awakening. It takes it from being a really challenging, heavy thing to just lightening the energy up, making it much more easy and grounding your energies in the process, which is hugely important. So check that out at spiritualawakeningsigns.com. You'll get it at pretty much the top. It's a little banner across every single page, or if you're reading a blog post, you'll find it in there somewhere, but it's around, because I think it's really important. And if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this. All the best.